On a foggy, dark night during the height of World War II, a mission was attempted on Scottish soil that still has people wondering just why it happened. In the late hours of the night on March 10, 1941, a farmer named David McLean heard a loud roaring coming from the sky. McLean had a farm about 8 miles from Glasgow. He ran to the back of his farm and heard a huge crash, and a plane burst into flames. These were precarious times, and David was understandably incredibly frightened. He then saw a parachute unfurl in the sky and a man hanging from the harness. McLean's immediate instinct was to run and to get help, but it was so late that everyone was asleep. McLean believed that the plane was German, and whoever was flying had bailed out. These are McLean's own words of what happened next. He smiled, and as I assisted him to his feet, he thanked me in perfect English, but I could see he had injured his foot in some way. I helped him into the house, but by this time my old mother and my sister had got out of bed and made tea. The stranger declined tea and smiled when we told him we were very fond of it in this country. He then said, "I never drink tea as late as this. I'll only have a glass of water." We sent word to the military authorities. Meantime, our visitor chatted freely to us and showed us pictures of his little boy, of whom he spoke very proudly. He told us he had left Germany about 4 hours earlier, and he had landed because nightfall was approaching. I could see from the way he spoke that he was a man of culture. His English, though he had a foreign accent, was very clear and understood every word we said. He was a striking-looking man, more than 6 feet tall, and he wore a very magnificent flying suit. His watch and identity bracelet were both gold. He didn't discuss his journey and indeed appeared to treat what seemed to us a most hazardous flight as a pleasure trip. He seemed quite confident that he'd be well treated and repeatedly said how lucky he'd been in landing without mishap. He was most gentlemanly in his attitude to my old mother and my sister. He bowed stiffly to them when he came in, and before he left, thanked us profusely for what we had done for him. He was anxious about only one thing: his parachute. He said to me, "I should like to keep that parachute, for I think I owe my life to it." He wouldn't tell me who he was, and we didn't like to press the question. We assumed he was just another German airman who had been brought down. When officials came to the scene, he greeted them with a smile, assured them he was unarmed, stood up and held his arms out to let them see for themselves. Then he was taken away. The man that landed in David McLean's field identified himself as Captain Alfred Horn, but who he really was none other than Rudolf Hess. Hess's original plan was to meet with the Duke of Hamilton at his home at Dungavel House. He believed that the Duke of Hamilton was sympathetic to his cause and willing to make peace under the terms of the opposing side, unlike Churchill. Hess had run out of fuel 12 miles from the Duke of Hamilton's home, which is when he decided to bail from his aircraft and parachute out. The man who called himself Alfred Horn continually asked to see the Duke of Hamilton. Hamilton, unlike what was originally hoped, was incredibly loyal to his country, and Hess's pleas fell on deaf ears. Buchanan Castle in Scotland was being used as a field hospital at the time, and at one point, Hess was held there. Hess eventually stood trial in 1946 during the Nuremberg trials and was sentenced to life in prison. Hess maintained that his mission was not approved or sanctioned. Still, questions remain on the details of why Hess would attempt such a thing, and if it actually was a known mission.